welcome back. Today's a double bill of what the hell is this, because there's two films that are so linked that I couldn't resist putting them together. I was eventually going to do them individually, but it was like, nah, I kind of need to do these together. So it's going to be Deepstar 6 and Jason X. Now the link between these is that Deepstar 6 is directed by Sean Cunningham, and Jason X is a Friday the 13th sequel. And the original was directed by Sean Cunningham, and he's been a producer in a lot of those films, even if it's only been like picking up some money from it or something, I don't know. But he did the first Friday the 13th, and then he kind of moved away from the series. And it became, he didn't even have Jason in his film. And it became something else, and he's always like a love-hate relationship with it. So he made other films, including Deepstar 6. And they haven't been very good. Because, to be honest, Sean Cunningham is not a very good director. The worst Friday the 13th film in lots of ways is the first one. Until you get to Jason Goes to Hell, or number 7, I think. There's some flawed ones, but I think the first one for me is the most boring one. I find the Friday the 13th series starts at number 2, and then it goes up and down after that. The first one I find really boring and really badly directed and just tedious. You compare it to Halloween, it's so obviously bad. And then the ones after number 2 and 3, they tend to get a lot better because they're maybe people who are trying to make a fun film. The first one's horrible. And Deepstar 6 is horrible. Deepstar 6 is, it's one of those films made in the late 80s as The Abyss was about to come out, because The Abyss was a new James Cameron film at that time, after Terminator and Aliens is his next big film. So of course any script that anyone had that was set underwater was suddenly green-lit because everyone wanted to get out before The Abyss. So you got Lords of the Deep, which I've never seen. You got Leviathan, which was from the director of Cobra and Rambo, which starring Peter Weller. It's a fun film. There's lots of character actors dying in that film. It's kind of silly, but it's one of those films that's really enjoyable just because how silly it is and how it's knowing, you know. There's also been films afterwards. Underwater came out a few years ago, which is the same kind of idea, like underwater rig, drilling rig, gets in trouble and you have to try and survive, and there's a monster involved, which I really enjoyed. Underwater, starred Kirsten Stewart. It's a really fun film, very underrated, you know. And The Abyss was a very enjoyable film. It has flaws, but it's very enjoyable. Deepstar 6 is by far the worst of these films. It's terrible, and it has some amazingly bad special effects. It was actually produced by the guys who would team up soon with Verhoeven on Total Recall, and then would finance Terminator 2, the Cowco Boys. And I think this was one of the minor films, because they were doing stuff like Red Heat at the time as well, so they were making a lot of films. This, I think, was just like, let's see what happens with this one, let's see. And it was bloody awful, and they didn't have much money involved. They hired a lot of TV actors, and the acting is pretty terrible throughout. But it's not as bad as the writing. The writing is absolutely awful. The direction is absolutely awful. You can tell they were on sets the whole time. That they're basically it's sets, or it's people like models going through fog-filled settings to make it look underwater. It just looks terrible. The effects look absolutely terrible. I don't know exactly how they did it to make it look underwater, but it doesn't look good. It feels like they did a cheap version. Because with models, you're meant to do multiple passes to give it weight and to make it feel like there's shadows and things that would actually help the thing. Here, they look like toys clunked together a lot of the time, and it's like, wow, you spent about £20 on this effect, because it looks terrible. It's not lit right. It's not. There's no weight to any of the objects. The way they connect up doesn't look right. It just looks like a toy a kid would play with. So that's embarrassing to start with. It's like, you should have stopped this film and redone the effects. But also you should have shot the blooming sets to look as if they're not sets. Because if you look at Abyss, they do not look like sets. They look like real locations, even though they are sets. Even Leviathan looked half decent. It looked more like sets than the Abyss, but it still looked decent. They got the lighting person to make everything look good. This one, it looks like sets. You know. And then they don't understand the science. I mean, that's why I don't know what the hell is this more than anything. Even though the effects are terrible and the shooting of the sets are terrible, the fact the script is the biggest offender. The script is terrible. I mean, they hired TV actors, but these TV actors couldn't do anything with this. I mean, they didn't have any characters. They had basic characterization. There's nothing you do with any of this dialogue, except from one person, who I'll get to, who makes the film watchable. But the science doesn't work. The science really doesn't work because you can tell. I don't even know that much about this, but I know this science is wrong. Basically, the idea is that underwater they're miles deep, and and apparently the depth they put the characters at, because I read about this later, was way deeper than the human body could go. So they didn't research that properly. They've got a missile base, underwater missile base. It's not even a drilling platform; it's a missile base. Why, I don't know. It's meant to be a tactical thing. It doesn't feel like it makes any sense. It feels just weird. Like, how can you get missiles down there and not have them waterclogged and not have them... And why don't I just put them in a sub, which can move anywhere? It makes no sense if you only kill weapons having a sub and underwater that way. They've already worked out how to do it with subs. That's logical. So it's like that idea of an underwater missile base, which can easily be attacked, is stupid. But they also have this thing where they're going down and they have they're talking about pressurization. But these characters never leave the location unless they've got wearing these pressure sensitive suits that actually would keep the pressure out. So they haven't pressurized or don't have to depressurize ultimately if they don't have a moon pool. Because a moon pool is what allows you to get in and out of the location quickly to solve problems. Then you'd have to pressurize and depressurize later. They don't have that. They don't have normal underwater gear. They have this gear that's actually very robotic and mechanical, which means you wouldn't have to depressurize if you're not in that area. So they do all this stuff about pressurization, depressurization, even though they don't even have to do that the way they've set up the production design. So no one had a clue. No one was talking to each other in this film, saying like, that doesn't make sense what you're doing here. When they go out in this thing, they put them out through this one area, and it's like, well, why doesn't that connect to something that then lets you out? I don't know how they work this out. It just seems weird. It looks like there's a few levels to leave into place, but it's just weird how they do it. It doesn't quite make sense because of the suit looks like it's to protect the person from pressurization. They don't have a moon pool, but they have this one hatch that goes down, and it's like none of this makes sense for what they're doing. It just feels stupid. It just feels wrong. Because why didn't you just go and go into a hatch and then open through the other hatch and that'd be you? It's really weird. It's like no one's thought it through. And that's the joy of the film. It's so stupid. Everybody makes the worst decisions possible. The person who makes the worst decisions is Miguel Ferrer, as the only actor in this film who knows he's in complete trash, and he's chewing every bit of scenery. And it's a joy, because his character is the stupidest character in the film. He makes so many mistakes. He's the guy who constantly makes mistakes and panics and does everything wrong, and eventually gets blown up by pressurization, even though it shouldn't actually affect him at all. He's so over the top. It's wonderful. Every time he's in a scene, it's joyful because this is an actor who knows what film he's in. He knows he's in a trash film, and he can look around and see everyone else try to take this seriously. I'm not. I'm just going to chew every bit of it going. And it's like, when he dies, it's like, that's the film over, ultimately, because it's like, it's just weird. And oh yeah, the depressurization thing at the end doesn't affect anybody, because the monster jumps up at the end, coming from way down the bottom of the ocean, and it doesn't blow up instantly. That's another thing, that's a problem. That's why the film's so stupid. It would blow up if this monster came all the way up to the surface. It would blow up because it didn't depressurize. Anyway, it was outside the whole thing. There's also stuff like, they're told early on, do not blow this thing up, because we think there might be a tomb below it. So maybe, with all these nuclear weapons, let's not do anything that may actually cause more problems. So let's do tests to see if there's a hollow thing below this bit. And if there's hollow below it, we've done this in the wrong place, we have to move it somewhere else. This scientist goes, no, I'm going to blow it up. And he blows it up and lets the monster out. And he's a guy who, after this, says, you still have to trust me, I'm the lead scientist. It's like, it's all your fault in the first place. People are already dead because of you. You know, and he picks on Miguel Ferrer the whole time after that, and it's like, you do this, you did this wrong, and it's like, well, you did the biggest thing wrong. So your lead scientist is a moron. Your his assistant is the biggest moron ever. And you've got all these other characters who are basically there to get eaten. Or there to die in various ways. They do the alien thing of having a captain who looks respectable then dies halfway through so someone else can take over. They do that as well. But you're just waiting for him to die because you know they're going to do that. They've set up to do that. They may as well have just said it's have a 2 weeks to retirement. You know, it's that kind of character. And the whole film is so stupid. It's just the depressurization stuff, which I've probably bored you to death of already. The terrible special effects, the terrible characters. So you just want to see them die because they're so annoying. They're just ridiculously bad characters. Again, it's the writing. It's not the actors' fault. The actors are doing the best they can, but they have the worst dialogue. And you can see some actors who you'd seen other stuff later, you'd seen other things that haven't been that bad in. But they have nothing to do in this film. They have absolutely nothing. And they're just like, they're trying their best to actually... you can tell it's not the actor's fault, it's the writing. The writing is just this is one of the worst scripts ever. And with some of the most tedious direction, most unenergetic direction ever. There's even moments where they don't even see the deaths of certain people. They just set it up and they don't kill them on screen. It's like, it's a monster movie. That's what I'm here for. Let me see this person die on screen. And it's not done as if it's a shadowy thing as well. You're meant to be setting up for the next kill that will be more brutal. No, this is just like, it's almost like they forgot to shoot it. It's like, you set up for this death and you didn't show the death. It's like, why? So, I bring this whole film up, and there's a link to this Jason X, just so we can see the glory of Jason X. The wonderful glory of Jason X. Because Jason X is just as stupid as Deepstar 6, right? But, the big thing here is, everybody knows it. Everybody's a Miguel Ferrer in this film. Everybody's chewing the scenery. Even the most inexperienced, stupid actor possible knows they're in trash. Let's ham it up. The writer knows he's writing trash. The guy who wrote this, Todd Farmer, also wrote Drive Angry. He's wrote a bunch of other stuff. He understands what film he's writing. He understands it's Jason in space. And for that, all he has to do is make the character stupid, kill them off in brutal ways, and that's it. And make it as fun as possible. They even have stuff like having characters with nanotechnology gone mad, nanotechnology helping heal characters. Nanotechnology can do almost anything in this film just by pressing a button. I think it's a reset for them so Jason can actually do more damage to them again. It's wonderful. But the thing is, It knows exactly what film it is. That's the big thing. The Deepstar 6 did not know it was a stupid film. Jason X does. Jason X is, it knows you're waiting on Jason to kill people. It knows these characters are stupid. So not only will it set that up, but it'll have jokes about how they don't understand how bad it is. So it starts about in the future for here, where basically there's well, I'm not sure it's a future now. It's a future when they shot it. I think it may be the past now, but Jason's in an underground facility because he can restore himself and heal so quickly. They're trying to research him. But other people are saying, just put him in cryo. He's a psychopath. We don't want anything to do with him. But the army says, no, we can deal with him. We're the army. We can deal with Jason. None of this machete stuff. We can still deal with him. So we're going to take him somewhere else to study his regeneration abilities. Jason gets loose, absolutely destroys the army in the first 2 minutes. And the army scientist is David Cronenberg, a little cameo, because Jim Isaacs, who did direct the film, was one of his effects guys from the past, so he did it as a favour. So it's great fun seeing Cronenberg in Friday the 13th film and getting killed brutally early. And the only people who survive is the lead scientist, the other lead scientist who says, don't do this, put me in cryo for now. This is stupid. She survives, but she also gets frozen in cryo because she has to get Jason to cryo. She gets him frozen, but she gets affected too, so she gets frozen, the whole room gets frozen, so both of them are in cryo. We make a big massive time jump. It's a far future. Earth's basically desolated. These students in this field trip come along, go through Earth and try and find like oddities just to see if they found something interesting to make their grading as students. And they're led by the professor, and they've got a ship that's tamed to Earth, and then they'll take them back to Earth 2 eventually. So there's an Earth 2 now that's beautiful, and Earth 1 is a disaster. And basically, they find Jason. They don't know who he is. They also find a woman. You have hijinks where Jason, even while he's frozen, falls and his machete takes off someone's arm, which is hilarious. So they take him back to the ship, and they take her back to the ship. They bring her back to life, and she warns them, oh, it's Jason Voorhees, he's a lunatic. And they're like, nah, he'll be fine, we're going to freeze him and we'll take him back. And we'll do some experiments, and we'll take him back, and then we'll do whatever. But the actual field scientist, the teacher knows who Jason Voorhees is and says, I can sell him in the black market, and I can make some money off this. So he's trying to keep him out of cryogenic, just to keep him under wraps until they get to this location, and then sell him. His stupidity basically means that Jason gets loose, starts killing everybody, and you have basically a whole movie set in a spaceship where Jason starts murdering people. This is basically Alien Resurrection, right? With Jason Voorhees rather than aliens. And it's a much better film because they know they're in a stupid film, unlike Alien Resurrection or unlike Deepstar 6. They know they're in something stupid. They have a robot just like Alien Resurrection, but it's done so over the top, it's much funnier. You know, they have cryogenic freezing, they have nanobots bringing people body parts back after they've lost their arm or lost this or that or been badly injured. They have Marines who go out against Jason and get absolutely slaughtered. They have VR jokes. They have everything. Any science fiction trope they can find a good joke for with Jason, they will do. They even try and distract him with using VR to make him think he's killing like people, and it turns out they're just VR machines, because it says they go back to the 80s cabin stuff and two women drinking or having premarital sex and he just kills them. There's a joke about Jason in the other films. Non-stop gags. Everybody dies except for like two people. There's so many outrageous characters. The lead Marine is a lot of fun. He's so cynical and he's way over the top. This actor knows exactly what film and he goes way, way, way over the top. It's great. All the actors know they're in a trash film. So even if they've got like 3 lines, they're going to sell those 3 lines. If there's an actress playing a slut, she'll sell the sluttishness. Everybody knows it's trash. It's Jason in space. It's trash. It's like, this is exactly, have you ever never do the horror thing where they send a character into space, and you always think, okay, you're doing something really stupid here. At least make it the most fun, trashy thing possible. They never do it, except for this film. This film does. This film understands exactly what it's doing. Every stupid plot twist is intentionally stupid. Every bit of weirdness is intentionally parodying and giving you exactly what you want. You want those stupid plot twists, and it gives it to you with a sense of humour. It has stupid people doing stupid things, and it gives it to you with a sense of humour. It's just the perfect dumb movie. It's so much fun. It's so ridiculous. It's a wonderful thing. It really is. It's just so wonderful, Jason X. It's a really great what the hell is this type of movies where it's like, I can't defend this, but I do know they knew what they were doing, and I'd happily rewatch it multiple times. That's what you get with this film. Meanwhile, Deepstar 6 is a film we see once and go, never again. Even though Miguel Ferrer is so good in it, as just chewing the scenery. He deserved Jason X. He didn't deserve Deepstar 6, he deserved being Jason X. He deserved, that movie must have been playing his head during that thing. Like, the other film Miguel Ferrer thought he was doing Deepstar 6, was probably a lot better than the film we were seeing. And Jason X is kind of the film that film should have been, which is like, just take the mickey yourself and know you're stupid. But Jason X is just so wonderful. It is probably one of my favourite Friday the 13th films, because it's so knowing, it so understands what it is, understands exactly how stupid it is, and it's a joy to watch. So if you've learned anything from my video, is just watch Jason X. It's exactly the film you think it's going to be, but it delivers on everything you want from a film this stupid. So yeah, you don't have to be smart if you know you're being stupid, and if you deliver on that. So and honestly, it's better than Freddy vs. Jason. It's so much more fun than Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy vs. Jason is like almost like trying to compete with this for stupidity and doesn't get anywhere near. So hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you avoid Like the Plague, Deepstar 6. I hope you go watch Jason X. Okay, that's me for now for this week. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I'll see you next week. Bye.